I'm gonna call out Jake Paul to a boxing match. Everybody tell Jake Paul we need to run that. Let's do it. Jake Paul, if you ever want it, let me know.
I can't do this. I feel so bad for introducing Jake Paul to boxing. I can't allow this to happen. I can't. He's disrespecting my sport. He's disrespecting everything. I don't know. Call my team, Jake.
How dare you disrespect the sport like that? That's what I got from them. What did you get when you see them going at Jake Paul like that?
I understand what I'm dealing with. Jake Paul is a master marketer. His nickname is the problem child. He wants you to love to hate him. That's why people fill out the arenas, and that's why people buy the pay-per-views. It's not everybody don't hate Jake Paul. You got a lot of support, a lot of people pulling for him, especially the younger generation.
I'm G to call out music. Jake Paul to a boxing match. Everybody tell Jake Paul we need to run that. Let's do it. Jake Paul, if you ever want it, let me know. I can't do this. I feel so bad for introducing Jake Paul to boxing. I can't allow this to happen. I can't. He's disrespecting my sport. He disrespecting everything. I don't know. Call my team Jake __. How dare you disrespect the sport like that? That's what I got from them. What did you get when you see them going at Jake Paul like that? I understand what I'm dealing with. Jake Paul is a master marketer. His nickname is the problem child. He wants you to love to hate him. That's why people feel out the arenas, and that's why people buy the pay-per-views. It's not everybody don't hate Jake Paul. You got a lot of support. A lot of people put point, especially the younger generation. Ryan Garcia just confronted Jake Paul and calls him out for fighting Mike Tyson. Garcia was not one to hold back, especially when it came to calling out fights that in his eyes didn't make sense. So when Jake Paul squared off against the legendary Mike Tyson, the boxing world was split. Some saw it as entertainment, while others like Garcia viewed it as a step too far. The fight itself turned heads for all the wrong reasons, and Garcia's reaction was as fiery as expected. Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed problem child, walked into the ring against Tyson, the heavyweight icon, with a lot to prove. Critics doubted him, fans hyped him, and Tyson wasn't exactly in his prime anymore, but his presence alone commanded respect. Paul played his part well, throwing more punches, landing some solid hits, and ultimately securing a unanimous decision victory. No, I was not going to watch that fight. There was no way it was going to work. Like CNN called me, I did the show with L. Coates. I told them going in like, look man, this is a farce. She's like, who do you think is going to win the fight? I'm like, it ain't going to be us. And that fight was whackness, and y'all knew that fight was whackness, but y'all got yourselves caught all up in some hype, and thereby you had to watch it. And then you're like, well, I'm not really paying for it, but you are paying for it cause you pay for the Netflix and you watched. I don't think we talk nearly enough in sport about why it is that we actually love this stuff, why we keep coming back, and why we talk about it all the time. This fight pointed out something that I think we need to really kind of take heed of and be careful what sorts of things that we offer these companies and these enterprises positive reinforcement about, and that they keep giving them to us. Don't ever let them tell you that sports is entertainment. It's not. Sports is entertaining. Sports may entertain you, but sports is not entertainment. What was so wild about it to me was how many people showed up, not just the people in the crowd, like the 880,000 people. The idea that there were celebrities who wanted to be there, like this is Fraser Ali in 1971. People actually wanted to be there and be on camera for this obvious farce. What you saw happen with that fight was a display of a product that people didn't want, because people want their sports to matter, people want their sports to be real. But despite his win, it was obvious to anyone watching that Tyson, though slower and past his glory days, still carried a different level of menace. The fact that Paul couldn't secure a knockout even against a man in his 50s left a sour taste for many, including Garcia. That fight went, I feel like it went from like, oh my, is going to kill him, to like, oh this is like sad and bad, to then like flip back being like, well he made it the whole way though, and like now people are giving him his flowers for just standing in the ring for I turned it on. I was worried he was going to Don Baylor himself. Remember when Don Baylor broke his knee at the first pitch? Oh yeah, like his knees were like, really? I was like, I'm not worried about his head, I'm worried about like a ACL, like a knee popping out or something like that. But it is funny though, like after the fact everyone was like, oh told you so, knew it. It's like nobody was saying that before the fight. It was like there were people being like, he's old, but everyone's like, maybe it's, I mean it's boxing, right? Like a punch of chance he might land one. It's the only sport, no other Sport in the world, would you go watch a 60-year-old do it right like you know it? You know everyone's watched up, you wouldn't. I don't even think it's boxing so much is Mike Tyson. It's the only guy in the only sport so like that I give him respect for, because like even Dave being like it was I knew it. It's like Dave when Dave puts out $1,000,000 bets when he like knows it. And it's like, why didn't you bet on it? Why didn't you say this? Like, cause everybody right before it was like. But maybe for Garcia this wasn't just about Jake Paul winning a fight, it was about the credibility of boxing. He saw himself as someone who had worked his way through the ranks, putting in the blood, sweat and tears that make a real fighter. Seeing Paul, a YouTuber turned boxer, walk away with a win over Tyson felt like a slap to the face. The frustration built up and Garcia didn't bother hiding it. He openly criticized Paul's performance, labeling it as underwhelming and unworthy of the hype. But it wasn't just talk. Garcia was plotting his own return to the ring, and a clash with Jake Paul in 2025 will be on his mind. In Garcia's eyes, Paul's rise to fame and boxing came at the expense of tradition. While Paul might have brought new eyes to the sport, Garcia believed the younger fighter had yet to prove himself against a real boxer in his prime. The Tyson fight, while a spectacle, did little to change that perception, and for Garcia there was no better way to settle the debate than stepping into the ring with Paul himself. As the boxing community buzzed about the potential showdown, it was clear that this was more than just another fight. Garcia versus Paul could be a turning point, a clash of the old school and the new, where the stakes went beyond belts or records. For now though, Garcia's focus remained on his December exhibition, but with every interview, every social media post and every jab, both verbal and physical, it was obvious that Jake Paul was the endgame. Fans believe that Ryan Garcia don't just want to fight Jake Paul, he wanted to make a statement. Paul might have survived Mike Tyson, but Garcia was determined to show the world that surviving him would be a different story entirely. Ryan Garcia wasn't one to stay silent for long. After weeks of laying low, the 25-year-old boxer decided it was time to stir the pot. He took to X, formerly Twitter, to announce his next moves, dropping a post that made it clear he wasn't just sitting on the sidelines waiting for his suspension to end. Instead, he was scheming, plotting a comeback that would shake things up in the boxing world. The post was bold, unapologetic, and filled with enough spice to make fans buzz with excitement. Garcia laid out his plan step by step. First up was that exhibition match in December against Rukia Ampo, the same fighter who once stepped into the ring with an aging Manny Pacquiao and tried to make a statement. That fight in Japan was just the appetizer, though the main course would be Jake Paul. Garcia didn't mince words. He wanted Paul, and he wanted to beat him bad. The reason, according to his tweet, was for fighting Uncle Mike. Garcia felt like Paul's recent victory over Mike Tyson was disrespectful to the sport and its legends. He wasn't going to let that slide without a challenge to have 65 million people watch, those are Super Bowl yes numbers. In the early 2000s, amazing return on investment. Netflix is probably the media stock for this generation. Netflix and YouTube, I wouldn't short it. Probably it's going to hit 950 by middle of next year if it stays at this pace. And if you look at how they lined this up with the addition of Monday Night Raw, even if you're not a wrestling fan, they're going to draw a big audience. Then they're going to have the Christmas game for the NFL. Well played. This remind me a lot of when 50 told Jay not to do melodies, and then 50 came in and did the melodies and helped take down Jay's career. I think Netflix has done a brilliant job at destroying linear television and then turning their platform into a better version of linear television. Monday through Wednesday you can watch whatever you want to on demand, and even though there were some glitches, problems are going to happen when you have that many people watching on the platform, but I guarantee they will have this fixed by the Christmas game. By the time Raw comes out, I'm super bullish on the stock. And if you short it this morning, SP, I'm sorry. Shame mistake. Meanwhile, Jake Paul was riding high after his unanimous decision win over Tyson. At 58 years old, Tyson wasn't the beast he used to be, but his aura still carried weight. Paul had bulked up to a career heaviest 227 pounds for the fight and used his youth and speed to dominate the 8-round bout. The victory gave Paul the confidence to call out names like John Davis, Canelo Alvarez, and even former UFC champion Conor McGregor. Selling the tickets that he sells and gaining the money and earning the money that he's earned. He's done it the hard way, so that's in one category. Compartmentalized. That if he is young in the game, so I understand a level of that, right? Like you gotta work your way up. I'm not knocking all the guys he fought up to this point, but at a certain point, bro, like if you really about this, like Jake Paul calls himself the face of box, and I can't give you that you're a good salesman. You're a good marketer and you. Sell tickets. Selling tickets and having interest when you fight is one box that you check if you want to be the face.